Hello and welcome. My name is Vishwanath M. In this video, let us try to learn and understand the concept of pattern matching and find and replace operations in strings. If you're following the VTU syllabus, this is program number 2 of Data Structures Laboratory. Before we dive into the program, let us get a very brief understanding of pattern matching and find and replace operations. Here is a Word document that I have created which revolves around ChatGPT, and regardless of the word processing software you're using, MS Office, LibreOffice, OnlyOffice, or regardless of the choice, most or all word processors today give this feature of find and replace. Now let us demonstrate the application or value of this feature. So in this document we have this pattern called ChatGPT in multiple occurrences. To make the explanation much more simpler and clear, I have already made them or highlighted them in bold. So we have 4 occurrences of the word called ChatGPT, and for demonstration purposes let us replace the pattern ChatGPT with this pattern called TextGPT. Let us see how the word processing software does that. So when I click replace, what it is currently doing is it is highlighting all the occurrences of ChatGPT. So it is first doing a find operation, and once the find operation has been done, we could demonstrate the replace operation. So when I click replace, we see that pattern by pattern it is being replaced with the new string called TextGPT. So let us carry out the operation multiple times to see how the operation is actually happening. So now we have successfully completed all the we have successfully changed or replaced all the patterns of ChatGPT with TextGPT, and since there are no more occurrences of ChatGPT, we see this message that the data you have been searching could not be found and please adjust your search options. So this word processor has successfully done the find and replace operation. So this is of immense value in huge documents where you are interested to retain the complete contents of the documents but just change or replace one or two patterns or words, and at that time find and replace proves to be of immense value. So this is how word processors today offer this feature of find and replace. Now in this program we will try to learn, understand and implement the functionality or the logic behind the find and replace operations. So it's a C program, and this program has two functions, main and string match, and we also have a set of global variables. We will understand the program now. In this program we are using a set of global variables. The name global variables indicate that these variables have their scope in the global area or in the complete scope of the program, and the advantage is that when we are using a global variable we need not pass the parameters when we are calling the function, and hence you would see that the function prototype would be much simpler with no parameter list, and for that reason we are using global parameters. Let us understand what the parameters are. So since we are dealing with strings which we implement in C with character arrays, so we create multiple character arrays, namely string of 50, str of 50, pattern of 50, pattern of 20, rep or replace pattern of 20, and answer of 50. Now these are 4 character arrays or strings that we are creating to implement this operation. Explanation for each of them. Str is the variable which holds the main string or the initial or the original string. Pat of 20 is the pattern which we are looking to find and replace. So in this case ChatGPT would take the place of pattern of 20, and rep of 20 is the replace pattern, the new word or new pattern that we are trying to replace with. So in this case TextGPT takes the place of replace 20, and once the operation is successfully done, we are interested to print the string again, and when we are printing the string again we are doing it with this variable, with this new variable of answer of 50, and one may notice that the length of both the str variable and answer variable are 50, and it could even be larger, but for simple purposes we are using the same size. Now we have understood the character arrays. We are also creating a set of integer variables. All these c, m, I and I, j and k are iterative variables which we will be using in the program, be it in the while loop or in the for loop. So these are some of the iterative variables. We will understand what and why they are used for. And this variable called flag, as the very name suggests, is used to indicate or flag whether the pattern is found or not. So if we are looking at the program here, just a glance here would indicate or would let us know that if flag is equals to 1, we are printing a certain statement, that is a resultant string, and if flag is not equals to 1, we print that pattern is not found. So that is the purpose of flag here. So we have understood the variables. Before we come to the string match function, let us understand the main function first, because every C program starts execution here with the main function. In the main function, we print certain statements to get the input, that is we print the statement, enter the main string, and accept the input using this function called getS. Now when we are executing the program, you may receive a warning saying that getS could be dangerous. The reason behind that is getS is a function which will accept the input without really checking the size of the input. So it will simply accept the string regardless of its size, and if it is executed in an uncontrolled environment, the user may input such a huge string that will cause a buffer overflow and eventually the program will crash. So that is why normally they would say that getS is a dangerous function and not to use it. But since we are using it in a laboratory environment where we know what the inputs and outputs are, we could still safely use getS function. And we similarly we take the input for the pattern string. In this case, like for example, it would be chat GPT. We are taking the input for pattern string and also the replace string. Now after we have the inputs for main string, pattern string and replace string, we are simply calling the function string match. One may notice that there are no parameters passed, since all the variables or parameters that would be required here are created in the global scope and they are all global variables. So we need not pass any parameters when we are calling the function. So once the function is called, now let us understand the string match function. String match function is where the implementation of pattern matching and find and replace happens. So inside the function there is a while loop, and while loop has two constructs, if and else construct. In each iteration of the while loop, only one part, either the if or the else, will execute and not both. That is a basic understanding. Now let us understand what happens in each iteration of the while loop. While str of c is not equals to this escape sequence. Now what is str? Str is the main string. C is a iterative variable starting with 0, and what we are doing here is, in the while loop, we are traversing the whole string. Whatever the main string we would have accepted as input, we are traversing the whole string. How do we traverse a string? In the domain of C programming, or in that case in most programming domains, the end of the string is indicated with this escape sequence or escape character /0. So when the control sees a /0, that is an indication that that is the end of the string. So since we are interested to traverse the whole string before we do anything, we are traversing the whole string using this condition, while str of c is not equals to /0. Now for ease of demonstration, assume that this is the input we give, or let us have the original form, let us have the ChatGPT form itself, and assume that this is the statement that we are taking as the str or main string. So we will traverse the whole string until the /0 is encountered. That means until we have reached the end of the string. And in each iteration, a condition is checked, if and else. So what is the condition in if? Now it is very easy to guess that since we are doing pattern matching, we are supposed to find, or we are supposed to check or evaluate if the pattern is matching with the string. How do we do that? Using the equals to operator. So if string of m, str of m, is equals to pattern of I. Again, m and I are iterative variables. Now in the while loop scope, we are using this iterative variable called c, and inside the if construct we are using m, and even m is initialized to 0 before using it. So what we are interested to do, or what we are trying to do here, is we are traversing the string and we are checking if the pattern exists in the string. Now for example, if the pattern was chat GPT, if the pattern was chat GPT, so what we do is character by character, that is pattern of I would be C in the first iteration. So we would be checking or comparing C with the string of m. String of m again would start with 0, so C and C would be compared, H and H would be compared. Similarly, the whole comparison would happen. And if if the match has occurred, for example, when C and C have matched, or the pattern has matched, we want to make sure that the whole pattern ChatGPT is there in the string. How do we do that? We want the iterative variable to move forward. How do we have the iterative variable move forward? By incrementing the values. So we are incrementing both I and m with the increment operators I plus plus and m plus plus. What does this indicate? If pattern of I is equals to slash 0. What is pattern of I? The iterative variable considering the pattern here. If pattern of I is equals to slash 0, what this means is we have traversed the whole pattern, and if it is pointing to slash 0, which is the end of the string, that means we have the whole pattern, that is ChatGPT, the entire pattern is present inside the main string, inside the str string. What does that mean? That particular pattern has been found, and once the pattern is found, what we are doing in this program, we are doing find and replace operations. So once the entire pattern is found in the string, we assign, or we make the value of flag to be 1. What does flag equals to 1 indicate? It means that find and replace operation is successful, and we will print the resultant operation. If flag is not equals to 1, the else part would clearly print that pattern string is not found. Now let us see what is happening in the if part. So till now we have the chat GPT, that is a pattern which is already found in the string or the main string, and we have made the flag to be 1 now. Once the pattern is found, the next objective was to replace the pattern. So how do we do that? Using a for loop, and we are again using an iterative variable called k here, and it is at this point that we start using replace pattern string. That is, once ChatGPT is found, our next objective is to replace ChatGPT with text GPT. How do we do that? With the for loop, starting with the first character, that is t, and as long as or until the replace pattern is completely traversed. That is, we want the replace pattern to completely be taking the place of the original pattern. So how do we implement that in the program? Using the same condition, that is, as long as it is not equals to slash 0, and we are obviously interested to make the whole replacement. So how do we do that? By incrementing the iterative variables k and j, and this is self-explanatory. Since I already mentioned, answer of 50 is the variable, or is the character array that we are used to finally print the output after the replace operation is successfully done. So how do we do that? Answer of j is equals to replacement of k. So in the final array, or in the final character array or final string, answer of j will be assigned with replace of k. So in other words, chat GPT would be replaced by text GPT. And since inside the while loop we are referring, or we are carrying out the traversal of string using m iterative variable, once we come out of the for loop, or once we come out of this if and else construct to the while loop, we again want the value of c to be updated. How do we do that? We update the value of c to be m and I to be 0 again. Why I has to become 0 again? It means that what is I? I is referring to the iterative variable in the pattern. So if ChatGPT has occurred once here, assuming that there was a ChatGPT again here, there was a second occurrence in the statement, we want the whole operation to take place again. So how do we do the whole operation again? By making sure that I is again initialized to 0. So again, when the while loop executes, it will start with pattern of 0 again, pattern of I equals to 0. So that is the reason for making C I equals to m and I equals to 0 here. So we have understood the if part. We have understood the if part where the pattern is found. But if pattern is not found, what we are interested to do is simply copy the original string into the answer string. So that is what happens in the else part. In the else part, we simply copy the original string, that is string of C, to the answer variable or answer string, so answer of J. And how do we make the traversal move forward? By incrementing the variables, by incrementing the iterative variables. So J and C are incremented here, J++ and C++. And why are we making M to be C here? Now assume that ChatGPT is replaced, and in the next set of words. For example, after ChatGPT is replaced by TextGPT, we still have words like is, chatbot, developed, etc., etc. So we want them to be as it is copied to the answer string. We do not want the program to stop after replacing ChatGPT with TextGPT and not moving forward. So how do we update, or how do we update the value of M? That is like when moving forward, we want the string of M to move forward and not be stuck with the same word itself. So how do we do that? We update the value of M with C here. We did the reverse here. When we, after replacing, we made sure that the value of C is updated with M, and here since the replacement has not occurred, we want the comparison to move forward. So how do we do that? We just assign M with C, and I again has to be 0, because whenever the next time the pattern matching is happening, or it is looking for this condition pattern of I, we want to make sure that it is starting with 0. That is, we want to make sure that it is starting with the first character C. And how do we do that? I is equals to 0. So for ease of remembering, one could clearly see the pattern that in the if part, the last two statements here is C equals to M, I equals to 0, and in the else part, it is just the reverse, M equals to C and I equals to 0. So that is one ease of remembrance technique. So what have we done here? In the while loop, we have understood what happens when a pattern is found, that is if pattern matching has successfully taken place, and we've seen how find and replace is happening. If the pattern is not found, we are just interested, or we are just trying to copy the original string to the answer string and move the iteration forward, and we have understood the whole while loop itself. Once the answer variable or answer array is completely created or completely populated, we obviously want the string to be ending with the escape sequence. As I mentioned, it's a convention of having the strings to be closed or ended with this character. So we do that. Answer of J equals to /0. So this will be the last character in the answer array or answer string. So once we have done this, basically we have carried out, or we have successfully implemented string match function, where we did pattern matching and find and replace. So once the execution of string match is done, it will come back, the control will come back to the main function here, and as we already saw, if flag is equals to 1, it will print resultant string is, and it will print the contents of answer array. And if the pattern matching, or if the pattern is not found in the array, it will simply print that pattern string is not found, and it will close the execution of the program. So we have understood the program line by line and the reason behind each construct and each word. So let us see how the output is successfully implementing the required objective. How do we execute a C program in a Linux environment using GCC or a global compiler? So I am compiling the program. As I already explained while explaining the program, that we would normally see this warning which says the getS function is dangerous. I told why getS is labeled as dangerous. The reason is getS doesn't evaluate the input, or evaluate the size of the string before accepting the input. So if it is not done carefully, and if the user enters a string which is too big for the buffer to accommodate, a buffer overflow condition would occur, and that would cause the program to crash. So that is why you would see this warning. Since we are doing it in the laboratory environment, we could safely ignore the warning, because we know what the we know what the input and output are. So and we have, because keeping that in mind, we have created the variables. So this warning we could successfully or safely ignore. Now there are no errors in the program. This is the only warning in the program. If there were any other errors in the program, you would see the errors, and you would naturally go back and change the program, or make sure the errors are resolved. So since there are no errors in the program now, let us see the output. How do we see the output? Using this command ./a.out, and once we have the output, in the output or in the execution, as expected, we first have to ask for the main string. What is the main string here? Let us enter the main string. The main string is ChatGPT is a chatbot developed by OpenAI. So this was the main string, and I've already highlighted the same here. So after I've entered the main string, we will have to enter the pattern string. The pattern string here is ChatGPT. So let us see if the output is taking the is successfully implementing that. So the pattern string is ChatGPT. Let us enter the pattern string. So the pattern string is ChatGPT, and the next expected question would be enter the replacement string. Let us see if the program is doing that. Yes. So it is asking for us for the replacement string, and the replacement string would be text GPT. Let us see, or let us enter text GPT. So we have entered the replacement string as well. So as expected, or as we would see in a word processor, we will just see we will just replace all. So we have successfully done that in the word processor, where ChatGPT is replaced by TextGPT. But let us now see if our program is implementing that. So the expected output would be TextGPT is a chatbot developed by OpenAI. Let us see if that is happening. There we go. So we have successfully done pattern matching and find and replace operations, where the pattern called ChatGPT was first found in the main string, and the replacement string was successfully taking the place of the original pattern. So TextGPT is a chatbot developed by OpenAI. So we have successfully implemented the program of pattern matching and find and replace. In this video, we have understood the logic or the C program for the same. We have visualized that in a word processor, and as well seen the output in a Linux environment. That was all we had in this video. Thank you.